Hello and welcome to Fergie's Gum. My name is Nathan and I'm joined today by not Ahmad as usual. He's in Bucharest. He's about 2 weeks too late to watch the FCSB match, but he's in Bucharest today. So we've got one of my old friends, Mr. Paul Cropper, a genuine Mancunian on the other side of this.
Genuine Manc.
Here he is. It's sporting one of the best Manchester United away shirts that we've ever had, mate. So, come on.
Yeah.
There we go. There we
Dug
go.
it out. Could do with an ironing, but yeah.
It's fine. Am I right in thinking this might be your first podcast experience, mate?
Yes. See how we settle in. Been brought in off the bench. See how we get on there.
Been warming up for the past 6 months.
Sent out the bat signal, didn't you?
To be fair, mate, coming off the bench, you can't do any worse than Hoyland right now, so I think you'll be fine.
Yeah.
I think you'll be all right.
I'm sure we'll get into that, won't we?
We will. We'll jump straight into the Leicester City game, which was played about 4 or 5 days ago now from when we're recording. It was 2-1 win, 4th round of the FA Cup, through to the 5th round against Fulham at home. But it wasn't exactly a convincing victory over one of the worst teams in the Premier League right now.
Yeah, it was an hard watch. It was a difficult watch, and that linesman, referee's assistant, he saved us all a torrid extra half an hour there, hasn't he? He's done us all a favour. But
yes.
It's a win. It's one of them where the performances aren't doing us any good, but a win is a win. And Maguire coming up with the header. Bruno's ball in, brilliant. Bruno once again, he's the only one turning up week in, week out. Him and Ahmad are the only ones that are turning up.
And Maguire, you could say that he is.
To be fair to him, yeah. To be fair, he's dug his heels in, hasn't he? And he's performing. I think the three at the back suits him, and it does.
Yeah.
Either side of him, Martinez is a big miss now. It's massive. Looks like Mazraoui's going to slot in there. That's where he's put him, in that left-hand side of the back three. But, it's a strange performance again. It's just nothing up front, is there?
You could have gone to the game, right?
Yes, yeah. We touched
you
on
do.
That before.
You do often go to the games, right? You do often go to the games.
I go as often as I can. I get offered tickets quite a lot, yeah. But you don't want to go and be watching that, do you? You just sick. You paying that amount of money as well to go and watch that on a Thursday night. And I think there was a lot left early. I mean, there normally is at Old Trafford a lot leaving early, but people are leaving earlier and earlier. And you don't want to go. And then when you get offered tickets, you can go with your kids and you're thinking, right, 50, 60, nearly 70 quid. And there's family of 4 of you. You're not. And I think we'll get talking about the owners as well, won't we, soon?
Yeah.
The new owners as well. That's something we need to touch on. We've got a few stories there. But, you can see why it's just a lot more tourists going now as well. That's where the money is. That's what the club want. Going back to the Leicester game, it's a win. Through to the next round. Liverpool are out, which is always a bonus. That's another one. But you can see it being... I can see us getting to the final again. The cup games are huge for United now. Absolutely massive.
They have to be.
They've got nothing else to play for, and obviously the league, you've got to write it off the league, aren't you? You really have. But it's a win, and I'll take it. Take it every day.
But it's five wins in 7, and this is the weird thing about United at the moment. Even though it is 5 wins out of 7, any other time you'd be like, oh, that's decent form, that. But everything just feels really flat. Even, I know everyone was giving you pure limbs during the Maguire goal, in Fergie time. Everyone was loving that. But the game was so flat, Old Trafford felt flat, and it's not the first time this season where fans haven't had anything to cheer about until the very last minute. And it's just...
Style of football as well. Is that down to the manager? Is that him trying to find... Is he trying to find his best? Because I think he started off, didn't he, Ruben Amorim? And he gave, like Eric did, he gave play all the squad a bit of a go. I'll give you a go. And now he seems to have settled in with his back three, which obviously Martinez dropping out now. And then he was settled with the wing backs, which sent the playing more as full backs. There was a game where, he puts Ahmad there on the right sometimes, but Ahmad doesn't want to be there. He doesn't want to be doing that. He doesn't want to be as a right back, does he? He doesn't want to be doing
No.
So I think he's settled in with his starting 11 now. But then he throws Kobe at the false 9 position, and where did that come from? Anybody else? You see that coming?
We're definitely going to talk about all of those things. We're definitely he's gone too early. But we're definitely going to talk about all of those things about the like Amrin, about the owners, about like players in and out of positions and things like that. But like in terms of like just on the pitch, like is there anything that you can see from the game with Leicester that they can take into this game with Spurs? Again, we'll go on to preview them later. But were there any real positives that you could see out of that, or was it just the same old rubbish?
Bruno's always a positive for me. He's the only one I pick out. I think there's not much, is there? There was no pattern to play. There was no creativity again. And it's like you're waiting for a spark every game. You're waiting for someone. There doesn't seem to be. Obviously, they are practicing it in training, and he's trying to get his way across. And you can see it. They go from one side, and then they switch it to the other. If it doesn't work, they try and switch it back. But it's so boring. And if you're defending against that, it's so easy because it's all in front of you. You just sit in, let United go side to side, and we'll hit you on the counter, which you can. You saw in Southampton, they can hit us on a counter. Teams like that are hitting us. And it's the same with Leicester. I mean, they had a few chances, and you're like, this going from side to side and trying to probe, it just doesn't work. There's not much you can be hopeful for against them. I know Spurs aren't in their greatest form, but you can still see them sitting in and playing their reserves. They'll still counter on us. But I'm not confident.
No, I think, as you say, it's just. But it's not just under Amarim. This has been for a while where we've just been waiting for that spark from someone. They pass the ball to, previously it was pass it to Rashford. Rashford does something. Pass it to Pogba. Pogba does something. And they're all sat waiting for something to take place. And then when those things don't happen, like it's almost like they don't know how to play as a team. It's like, I thought he was going to do something. And Bruno does have that in him, but then there's plenty of games that he plays where he's like shooting from 30 yards when you should be playing a through ball, playing a World Cup winning pass when there's a 5-yard pass on. Like it's just, you just never know what you're going to get from him. But I think in terms of the Leicester result, I think it's great that we're through to the 5th round. I think, as you said right at the beginning, these cup competitions are going to mean so much to us now. Liverpool being out, Arsenal being out after we knocked them out, like it gives us a bit more hope, like moving forward. And if it's City again in the final, I fancy our chances again. But I think right now we should move on to what the main issues are, because I can tell you're chomping at the bit to get to that bit.
I was just looking at the FA Cup, the draw. Actually, that's what I was looking at. City don't. I tell you what, they don't half get the way through them, don't they? Plymouth again.
Plymouth, yeah.
They always seem to get a good draw, don't they, them lads?
Well, we've got Fulham, and any other. They are.
Yeah,
they are. But any other season, you'd be like, right, we should be able to beat these. It's at Old Trafford. We should be able to go through. But our form at home has been a massive worry, which we'll talk about in the next section. Okay.
Just touching on that Fulham. Did you watch the Fulham game as well that we played? That was another 90-minute drag. An absolute drag.
We'll get onto it. I promise you. We'll get onto it. I promise. So it's not quite a regular, but I thought it was a good opportunity to make use of one of your rants, mate. We're going to talk about where things have gone wrong at Manchester United, because it's something that me and Ahmad have talked about on the podcast a lot of the episodes that we've done. But we never had like a dedicated section where we can just talk about all of the things up until this point that have made Manchester United in this like deep malaise or just absolutely crap standard that we're at the moment. So the best place to start with any of this is with the owners, who have been in charge for, I think it must be like 14 months now, 15 months.
Yeah, it's close to that, isn't it?
Yeah. They've been in the news for all the wrong reasons. There was more redundancies announced yesterday, I think it was.
Just looking at that section now, yeah.
Yeah, so another 100 people are going to be made redundant at Manchester United. That's following, I think, 200 to 250 people that they let go last year. They've also been in the news because the New Zealand All Blacks have said that Ineos have, they've reneged on the contracts that they should have had, and they haven't paid them for any of the sponsorship that they've done so far. They've also split up with Ben Ainsley, who was a big part of the Ineos crew back in the day for the I think it's the America's Cup sailing competition. I'm not a massive fan. I might have got that wrong, but if there are any sailing fans listening to this, fair enough, lads. But they've split up with them, and the Ineos Grenadiers, which were I think it was Team Sky that they were previously with Dave Brailsford at the head of that. They've plummeted, like they've gone off a cliff, and they can't compete with the team that's out here, the Team UAE. So because they've got all the best riders and they've just underfunded it. So with all that in mind, what is your opinion on Ineos, mate?
Well, has anything good come out of it? Has anything good happened since they've taken over? I'm just reading 27.7% takeover back in February last year. And since then, it's been cutbacks, not paying people. Every week seems to be a different story, and it's not good news. Prices going up. The manager not being backed. All right, they backed Eric, didn't they? But where does that stop? Where do these cutbacks stop? Do they just keep going? You're saying there that they're not gonna, they'll be up no more than 200. But do you believe that? Do you believe that? Do you believe anything that comes out of them? I mean, I know there was a lot of fans backlash as well, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Was it the away game? And I think
Yeah.
Jim got a bit of stick, didn't he? Which, if you're going to keep, I think Paul Scholes said a similar thing as well. If you're playing the worst football you've played in 20, 30 years,
yeah,
how is that a time to whack your prices up? How is that a time to make cutbacks? And financially, it might have been just squeezing the life out of the Glazers, which obviously they're skin.
Yeah.
So if you're squeezing the life out of something, and if your business isn't working, it's not making money, and you are a business owner who can run successful business, you must be looking, right, this needs sorting, this needs sorting. But if you're hemorrhaging money, surely getting rid of someone who's on £300-400 a week isn't doing it. I mean, I've been told a story as well. As you drive into Carrington, there's a sign that says "Welcome to Manchester United" or Manchester United. They've turned the light out on there. They've turned the light out.
And what, to save some pennies?
Just to say, yeah. And why is that? How are you going that far down and filtering this kind of thing out? And you expect the players to perform under this kind of thing as well. Where if that's one cut, what are they doing to the players?
Yeah.
All right. If they're going to take money from here and say, right, we're going to build you a new sauna or your red light therapies and things. If you're going to do that, I don't think they'll be doing that either. That's not where the money's going, is it? It's just going off. It's going to go to shareholders. That's all it is.
I think obviously they're cleaning up the mess that the Glazers have created. I think Ratcliffe's ability to get at the table with the Glazers in the first place was a clever business approach, but I don't think it stood Manchester United in any better position by having someone that's still hamstrung by PSR because he can't or won't put any of his own money into it. And he's looking at all of this, as you say, they're hemorrhaging money left, right, and centre. And he's like, right, well, where can we make cutbacks? So from that perspective, I kind of get it. If there are departments, like any business, if there's departments that are plotted and people are just like cashing a check and they're not actually contributing to the betterment of the company, I can understand it. I get it. Even if it's the tea lady, Auntie Doris has been working there for 30 years, but if there's a tea machine that's already doing it, it's like AI replacing riders and all types of people. If there's a tea machine there now, some of them you can keep through loyalty, some of them you have to make hard decisions on, and I get it.
Does it feel like that to you? Yeah.
But so while you can say that they're tidying everything up and they're trying to make it tighter, trying to bring the money back into the club again so that they can spend it properly. When you put Erik ten Hag on an extended contract, when every man and his dog knows that you want to release him and you don't want him, he's not your man, he's not the person that you want for that role, and you put him on an extended contract, which means that he's getting more money, he's getting more effect on the transfer market, buying players like Xerxes, and his payoffs even more expensive, and then you fire him. That, to me, that's not best in class thinking. That's carelessness. That's gross misconduct in any other business. And when you bring in someone like Dan Ashworth and you're talking about him again, best in class, he's going to sort everything out. We need to create the foundations for sporting performance here. That's first and foremost in this club. Sacked, gone. Yeah. 12 million payoff or whatever it is. You paid Newcastle X amount of millions to get in. Then
chased him for how long? 12 months? Chased him for 12 months, was it?
Exactly.
Gardening
exactly.
leave, etc. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was such a strange one, that wasn't it?
And they're
massive mistakes, though, aren't they? Massive.
Huge mistakes. And those are the types of things that when you look at Auntie Doris and she's losing her job, and you go, but you've just wasted 12 million on sacking a manager and a sporting director. Yeah. Like that could have kept her on for life.
Your ticket prices are going up. I know it's a small percentage, and I know it gets highlights. I think it's something like 2 to 3% into the 66 quid. But even doing that, and then, like you say, paying Dan Ashworth off, etc., and then getting 10 Hag extra, them are the type of things that wind fans up, because it's the little details, and you're like, you're punishing us. You're punishing us for your mistakes, but that shouldn't be down to the fans. Shouldn't be down to us at all. But you wouldn't mind if we're we're trying to make money, we're trying to do this, we're trying to tighten up, we're trying to run properly, like some clubs are run properly. But there's never anything good. When's the last time you looked at a story come out of Old Trafford and you went, "Oh, brilliant! Oh, that's good." There's nothing there, is there?
I think that you're absolutely right. Yeah, there aren't many good news stories, which is what I think contributes to the fact that even with the victories, even with winning 5 out of 7 or whatever it is, it still feels flat. The atmosphere still feels flat because it's still waiting for that next big story to come out, and it's inevitable. It does come out. Andy Mitten for the Talk of the Devils podcast. I don't know if you listen to it.
Yeah.
But he interviewed him for United We Stand. He interviewed Radcliffe, and apparently he came away from that meeting. He hasn't been very specific on it, but he came away from that meeting saying there's going to be more sadness before we get back to where we need to be. He said there's going to be more cuts, there's going to be more this, more that, and it's going to be worse before it gets better. And I don't know how much of that applies to just redundancies as we found out about yesterday or today, or if that means players that we're having to get rid of, maybe
Well, we'll go on to that in a bit. I think. Do you think he realised the mess the club was in when he took over?
He must have. He must have.
He can't. No, I don't even think the likes of Ten Hag and Ruben Amorim as well, and they must walk through that door and go like Ronaldo when he came back and going, what? They must be so confused and perplexed by a club of that magnitude. Just to walk through the door and go, what is this mess? Who's been running it? Well, we know who's been running it. But, he also, unfortunately for Sir Jim, it looks like he's being a bit of a barricade for the Glazers, doesn't it? It looks like he's a front man. It feels like the kind of, we won't take as much slack now. We'll put Sir Jim in front, and it can all go, because it is doing now. It's all good. I know he's 27.7%. Is it something?
Yeah.
But the Glazers will still be behind the scenes, pulling strings, telling him what he can and can't do. But you don't seem to hear. I mean, at Old Trafford, you hear a few songs here now and then, but it's nowhere near as ramped up as it was.
Yeah. But I think you're right. I think the moniker of Jim Glazer is quite apt because he's protecting them, and they must have been laughing their backsides off.
Exactly.
Knowing,
it's an easy target. It's an easy
yeah,
target, isn't it?
knowing that they've just passed the blame off to him because he came in and he was like, football club's been run terribly, gonna do this, gonna get the best people in, gonna make sure that there's a structure in place, and then he looks like a clown. The Ashworth thing will always stick with him, and if you notice that since Ashworth was sacked, we barely hear from Ratcliffe anymore. We barely hear from him. Before that, he was doing interviews left, right, and centre, talking about being a Manchester United fan, talking about how he always has the best interest for the club at heart, talking about how it's going to change. Again, I'm going to use the best in class thing because that's what he kept trotting out. And it's turned into nothing. It's turned into nothing because it's just words. And now, when things are failing and people do want answers, why have you put it up to 66 quid?
You just want something from the owners. Just a little thing, whether it be they've give kids a load of tickets, whether it be I don't know, you just want something to hang on to that they're going to be good owners. That's all you want. Like, the Dan Ashworth thing, I mean, it's believed, whether you believe it or not, that he wanted Southgate. He wanted a British manager, didn't he? And that's believed where the fallout was. Whether you read between the lines, because you never find out, obviously. But
I've literally got it on good authority that Graham Potter was interviewed for that role, and was very, very close to accepting it. But the conditions that he was told during then, this is in the summer, this is while Ten Hag was still there. The conditions that he was told was that there's no money. And he was asked if he could get a tune out of the current squad with the proviso that they might be selling off some of their stars. And when that happened, he was like, "No, don't fancy it."
Yeah, well, so who would, to be fair, with that squad that you've got there, and you're being told you can't reinforce it, who would? But if that is the fallout, and I believe Omar Barada's he wanted Amorim and got Amorim, then you've got to go with him, haven't you? And if Ashworth has if he's, I was going to swear, no swearing on this podcast.
No swearing.
If he's seen his backside, we are. If he's seen his backside and thought, right, it's not for me, you have to show him the door. As a strong owner, you have to say, right, well, we don't want to go with you there. There's the door, and we're going to stick. This is the plan. We're going to go with that. But going back to it, you just want something from the owners. Okay, well, I know they need time, and this could be, like you say, it's probably going to get worse before it gets better. But you just want to see something put in place. And I don't see anything from the owners that's been put in place, apart from the manager, because we'll probably go on to that in a minute. Because that's the one positive, I think, with Ruben.
Do you think, looking back, and I mean, we don't even know whether there was any proof of funds of a separate bid, but in comparison, if I was just to say, would you rather have the Qataris or Ratcliffe? Do you think Manchester United or the Glazers made the right decision?
No. I think you'd be daft to say that, wouldn't you? You'd be silly, because it would have. Well, if the proof of funds were there, like you say, it's a massive if though, because from what you hear, it wasn't. It wasn't a proper bid. I think the Glazers played it perfectly for themselves, didn't they?
Yeah. Because they're still part of the club.
Still massive part of the club. They're still pulling the strings. They've still got them decisions. They can make the decisions. They're still going to parties saying they own Manchester United. If that was gone, would anybody in Europe? I mean, I know they're part of Tampa Bay, aren't they? Anybody in Europe care about the Glazers anymore? They wouldn't, would they? But
exactly.
As a United fan, we just want the debts cleared, the club to be run properly. The promise was there of a new training ground. I've just been reading there. Sir Jim's put £250 million of his own money into the training ground, into Carrington, to doing it up. Why the Glazers will let it run that far behind other clubs, you don't know.
Where's that news from?
I've just been reading it. I think it was the MEN.
It's not from JimRatcliffe.com, is it?
yeah. 241.5 million since completing a partial takeover of his own money he's put into Carrington. Maybe he could turn the lights back on again now, eh?
Well, yeah, that's it.
Well, yeah, he's no, they've not. For us fans, they've not made the right decision. Once again, they made the right decision for themselves, haven't they? Really. We just want the debts cleared. The club can run itself. It's such an easy club to run. As long as you get things set in place, it should all run properly.
Yeah.
But yeah, but
Exactly.
hope he's on the manager now. The hope
Yeah.
all hinders on Mr. Amarim.
Before we get to Ahmad, then let's look at Ten Hag, who was obviously a contribution to where we are right now. I think every fan would have been happy if he'd just gone in the summer. Like after that FA Cup win, the high of the FA Cup win, Ineos coming in, a new broom, sweeps clean, get all the players out that you don't want in there, get the manager out, get the coaching staff out, and start again. I think I know hindsight's a beautiful thing, but in hindsight, if you'd have just got Ten Hag out at that moment, things might have been a bit easier because you would have been able to properly start again from scratch. But we kept him on. Again, that's an Ineos problem. We kept him on. He oversaw the purchases of Mazraoui, which is good, Ugarte, which is good, but that took too long to get through. And apparently that was because he didn't want to get rid of McTominay.
Okay.
So there's an issue. Xerxes, which I mean, we'll get onto the players.
That's cost him his job, I think. That one.
I think we'll get onto that. But he's and De Ligt, on paper, there's another one as well, isn't there? But I'm forgetting who it is. There was another player.
Yeah, possibly.
Maybe. Anyway, so he brought all of those players in because part of his contract meant that he still had the say in bringing those players to the club. He still had the final say on transfers because.
Sorry to interrupt you. Do you? That's a good window though. That's a good window for United. A good transfer window.
It's a decent window, yeah. It's a decent window. Like at the time, it was like brilliant. We're strengthening all these areas, lots of potential. This is great.
Yeah.
However, I think Yoro was the other guy.
Yes. Yeah. Sorry, Lenny.
Yeah.
Sorry,
yeah.
That, mate. Yeah.
So we brought all of these players in, but we weren't like Ten Hag couldn't get a tune out of him, and it ultimately cost him his job. And there was a lot of like talk about on the internet about the fact that Ten Hag and Kees Vos, his agent, and the agency that he was working for, they had like Hoyland, I think. I need to double check these because I'm making outrageous claims.
Outrageous claims.
I'm going to motor on. But they had like some of the signings were connected with his agency.
Yeah, which I think happens a lot in football, don't it?
True. Yeah. But if you've spent the summer on a beach in Ibiza thinking, I'm just waiting for that call to get fired from Jim Ratcliffe.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going out. They don't want me. Like that's clear now. And then you go into the job knowing that your boss ain't sure of you and you're probably on borrowed time.
Your back's against the wall immediately.
Exactly. And then you go and pay, what was it, 30 odd million for Joshua Xerxes. And if he's part of that agency, and the Hoyland fee.
Hoyland fee was big. It was big, wasn't it? It was, but can you?
It's all speculation. It's all speculation. It's all speculation.
Just on the Eric point is, I was a big fan of Eric, and I thought he was doing well. I thought we could see us progressing. And obviously not to the level how many jumps I thought he was building blocks. I did, and I always said, especially after the cup game. I know we went out and we had a great day after the cup final, but we beat City. I thought we played really well. We played Bruno in the false nine, and I thought, oh, okay, right. Garnacho everyone looked good, and I thought, right, can you really sack him off the back of that? We did the same with Van Gaal, didn't we? And it felt bad then. It just felt bad. Now the owners have obviously they should have stuck to the guns and said, because it was shopping round with it. They were shopping round.
They were talking to everyone.
But to do that, you imagine as a player, if you're thinking this guy's telling me what to do, Eric, and he's got no authority here, and these players, this particular group as well, won't be the only ones in football. They will find any excuse to switch off. If they're not, if that manager's not being backed 100%, they'll find any excuse just to say, "No, and a 5% drop off. He's at that level is massive, and that's what we probably got a 15-20% drop off and that's ultimately the owners with their whatever they were trying to do. Looking for a better option. They've basically cost Eric the job themselves. They've basically done it. They've just thrown him under the bus. And they weren't strong enough to make a decision there and then. And now it's still costing us now because Amarim or whoever the manager was should have got a pre-season. Should have got a pre-season. And now what we're doing again, the same managers, and we have it every different place. You fit in round pegs in square holes again. We're doing it every single time. Eric's had these players, and he's got the players he wanted, which, like I just said, I thought was a decent window. Love Ugarte, love Mazraoui. De Ligt, I know there's a lot around Old Trafford that don't like De Ligt, think he's a bit of a mistake. I like him. I think he's brave. I don't think he's fast enough for the league. I think he might struggle with this. Luckily, there's no world-class strikers about, like Aguero, because I think he'd struggle with that type of player. But the characters, ultimately, they brought in, I liked. Xerxes was... I think we're probably getting off thing, but Xerxes now and the Hoyland ones are they're big, aren't they? They look like mistakes. I know the kids. Are the kids 23, 24 around there? But Xerxes came in up with a big reputation from Serie A. Massive, because did he get Young Player of the Year? That's something. He won an award, didn't he?
But you have to look at Serie A. We've known this for decades. You know that league is not the same pace as a Premier League.
With his profile, with Joshua Xerxes' profile, 6'4", good touch on the ball. He's strong, bit of pace about him, can score goals. You're looking at getting 15 goals a season out of him. If you say, right, 30 million, we've got no money. It's not. It doesn't feel like a bad buy. At the time, I was like, no, I can see that. He can hold up the ball. If we are going to go, that's what we need, a target.
Yeah.
You could see it working. I could see it. I didn't think he'd come in and struggle. The confidence looks
He's weak. He's weak.
Well, him and Rasmus, they look shot, don't they? They need some help. They need some help. I listened to the podcast the other day that you sent me, and they did something like a ridiculous amount of shots that he's had that they're not having shots on target, and that has to come down to. I mean, you can blame creativity, you can blame the people behind them, but as a forward, you've just got to get your first touch right, bring other people in play, and then it happens. But if you're wrestling people in. But they both do the same thing, don't they? They both do the same thing. Both strikers do the same thing. So is it a pattern of play thing? Is it a confidence thing? Is it too much too soon? Are we expecting too much of these lads too soon? I don't think it is any of that, personally. But
I think you're right, and I think this leads nicely onto Amarim. So we've done Ten Hag, and we can talk about Amarim now. And he has come in, like it or not, he wants a style of play, and he hasn't tweaked it. Like there's barely anything that he's changed apart from trying Menu at the false nine.
Which was a dig at the owners. That was surely a dig at the owners. It felt like it, didn't it? Yeah.
It felt like a cry for help, or like I don't know if it would ever boost the confidence of a striker that's now sat on the bench. Like if you can see that Kobbie Mainoo is now the striker for Manchester United, and that's what you were bought for. I don't see how that increases their confidence. I think that just makes him just get even sadder. But so Amarim knows what he wants to do. He does not have the players to do that. Amarim came in eyes wide open with what was going on. He knew what was going on behind the scenes. He knew how much of a problem it was going to be. He saw this as an opportunity to manage one of the biggest clubs in the world. Probably wouldn't get that chance again. He was chatting to West Ham, like 6 weeks before.
Yeah. I think there was another team he was talking to as well, wasn't there? West Ham
I think Liverpool was kind of in the offing, but I don't think it ever came to anything. But he definitely had talks with West Ham, and he kind of regrets that. I'm not sure he regrets it now, given where they are on the table. But he knew exactly what he was getting into. He knew there wasn't going to be any finances for the January window, and he's trying to do what he can. Now, my question to you is, with all of that said, with his like determination to play this system, do you think that he's making a rod for his own back by not being flexible with this squad of players that clearly have a technical ability to do what he wants?
No, I think he's doing the right thing for him. I think he's been brought in to do a job. That's the style of play that Omar Barada, I believe, was the one who was the back in this appointment. And he's brought him in specifically because we like your style of play. We like how you're doing it over in Sporting. We want you to replicate that here. And I think he said when he came in, the gaffer, he came in and said, look, this isn't going to work straight away, didn't he? Whether he must have had a few training sessions and thought, yeah, it's not going to happen overnight. And he did say we're going to have to go through pain. He needed that pre-season, didn't he? When Eric got it, he needed that there to get these players in there. And he's obviously seen something in training that's made him think it's not going to work. Now, if you look at that starting 11 with the back three, the 2 6s, the 2 10s, your wing backs, it's not terrible. You look at it and go, well, that should get us European football.
Yeah.
Personally. And I think we'll stick with Amorim and his system. He would have looked at that before he took the job and thought, I can get a tune out of them lads. I can go with Martinez on the left. I can play Delay. Maybe not Maguire, but Maguire's played himself into there. Lendoro took a knock, didn't he? And he was struggling, but now he's probably thought, oh, I've got a good back three. I've got some decent wing backs. Say decent wing backs. He obviously crying out for a left back, a left wing back, which then ultimately. And then play him on the right. Which was meant. I in my notes for you when you said, "Do you want to do this?" I said, "I'll make some notes." And Paul Scholes on his program yesterday made exactly the same point. I thought, Scholes is nicking me points, but it's just a bit mad, to play him on the right hand side. He looks good, the lad. He does look good. He looks big and physical, which is, I think, that is the downfall of where Amorim's come in and gone. They're not physical enough. They're not athletic enough. Kobe's going to struggle in that 6 because he's not physical enough. He's not a sprinter, is he? He's an artist. He's more of a, it'll take me time, but that's not how you play this football. It's aggressive. McTominay would have been perfect for the 6. He would have been aggressive, get the ball, give it to someone. And now it's once again the fitting these round peg square holes, and it's a theme. It's a theme because if you look at Bruno, where he's playing, he seems to prefer Bruno in the 6 now. And then push Kobe further on. And whether that's because Bruno's got a bit more physicality about him, whether it's because he's more reliable, because Bruno will switch on to things. Ugarte is, like you said, he's his favourite. But Bruno shouldn't be there, should he? Let's be honest. Playing his 60-yard wonder balls, that's not what we want, is it? You want him further up the pitch. Like Ahmad, you don't want him the right wing back. You want him in the 10. These players need to be further up the pitch. But he's not been backed again in the window. And it was crying out. Obviously, PSR, we can't go against it. And I think there was moves to be made, but it was crying out for another 6, physical 6, and a forward. Just it was. So I don't, like you said there. You think Amorim was made aware of what he was coming into? I don't think he had any idea. I don't think he had any clue of what that squad was like. Jose Mourinho would have told him. Jose would have put him right and said, then again, I bet he spoke to him. I bet he spoke to him. But,
as far as what I can tell, and again, this is from the Athletics podcast, it was the changing room is really complex. That's the worst part about this job. There's too many egos in that changing room that United have bought over the years. They're getting paid handsomely, and then they're basically little rats. They're waiting for something to go wrong and then to not take the blame for it. Like again, we'll come on to the players. We'll come on to the players shortly.
Because I was just gonna say the work done for Amorim in this window has been more outs, hasn't it? And that's probably what needed to happen, to be fair.
But then again, I look at the kind of the characters of those players, and you can only tell from what you can see on social media and from what you can see in like press conferences with these players. But I wouldn't say Malassia's a troublemaker. I would say he's been unfortunate and he just isn't good enough to play for Manchester United.
Which, to be fair, the owners did come out and say, you're going to have 18 months. You're going to have 18 months to decide whether you're good enough or not. And they've stuck to that, to be fair, haven't they? Anthony, he's come in, whether you liked him or not. I didn't mind Anthony. I thought he was one of them that worked hard. I think ultimately the standard of the Premier League was a bit too much for him, maybe. And he'll go on and they'll move on, but that's what we've done over years. And like I said, to be fair to the owners, they are sticking to that. You've got 18 months. If it's not working, we'll move you on, which the Glazers were terrified to do because they didn't want to lose it on assets and money, etc.
Well, I think the issue with the Glazers is that they never had anyone in place that was good at actually selling players for a profit or to recoup any of the money back at all. So this is why we ended up with just keeping players. And why we ended up with Dallo, Ahmad's favourite player. But this is why we ended up with players that got contract extensions in the hope that we would get some money for them down the line. When really we should have just gone, okay, you've played your lot, you're not contributing. I love the guy, but Phil Jones, he hadn't played for I think about a year, and we gave him a contract extension, and it's like what are you doing? He hasn't played, and his legs have gone, and he's even been interviewed recently when he was saying during games or during training sessions, he's like, I just couldn't kick the ball. I just couldn't, my legs just wouldn't do it anymore. He's getting a contract extension. But this is
heartbreaking to see that, to be fair, as well, when I saw that interview. You feel for the kid, don't you?
Of course,
you do. But going back to Amorim, are you happy with the appointment?
Absolutely. 100%.
I agree with that. He's the one good thing. One good thing that at the minute for the club, I think we've got going. And I feel like he's got, like I said, I did like Eric. I feel like Amorim's got a bit more of a backbone. He's got a bit more grit about him, and you can see him giving this lot a bit of a rollicking, can't you?
I can see that for sure, and I reckon Ten Hag did that as well. But I think the difference with Ten Hag and Amorim is that Amorim's played the game at a very good level. So he's played the game at a good level. He's well connected, and you can see when he's on the sideline, he's heading every ball, he's kicking every clearance. He's connected to it. So as much as I can see him getting into them and giving them the hairdryer treatment, I also feel like he would also put his arm around them and know how to manage them and let them know as a man manager, which is one of the things that Ten Hag and his assistant, what was his Van Gerwen? Is that the darts player?
No, that's the darts player, isn't it? That's the Arrows lad.
He was whoever his.
I can't remember his name.
And again, sorry, just going. I'm all over the place, but bringing in Rude, bringing in
I've just got to touch on that.
Again, absolutely terrible from Ineos. But you can see that he would definitely have that communication style, and he's being fair to players. So when he was saying about Rashford, look, train hard and you get back in the team. It's not a big thing. I'm telling you to train hard and you can go back in the team. And he just didn't want it. And now we'll see a really good version of Marcus Rashford at Aston Villa. And hopefully...
you say that. Hopefully we do, but...
Hopefully we do, because then we can sell him. I don't think he'll ever play in a Manchester United shirt ever again, which is sad, but he's come to an end, so you have to let that go. So, to answer your question, Amorim, definitely the right person. Definitely the right person for him.
He's come in, Amorim, Anthony. He's obviously seen... I think every manager does it, don't he? He's obviously seen the ones he doesn't want. He's obviously seen the ones that won't work for him, and he's thought, that I'll stick to this. And he's like I said, he's got a backbone. He's sticking to it, and he did say we're going to go through more pain before this gets good. So we've got to go with it. You've just got to go with it, and you've got to say, you do you. Let's see where we are. He needs 18 months, doesn't he? He needs another 18 months.
Yeah, definitely.
Happy with Ruben. Happy with the effort.
So one area I think we can both agree on is this squad is not up to it at all. I think we're
thinner than my head, Nathan, isn't it?
Amorim is still, he's not had. I think he's got two players that he probably would have chosen himself now or had a say on it. I know that Jason Wilcox is now in charge of transfers, but when you look at Aiden Heaven and Patrick Dorgan coming in, they're the type of profile that United need to come in and bring that physicality level up, because right now we've got too many soft lads like playing out there, and it shows. Like they can't keep up with the demands. They're not physical enough. You watch Mateta waltzing through our midfield at Old Trafford the other day, and it's like, man, this is how far we have fallen here.
Yeah.
The squad just isn't good enough at all, and I'm happy that they did try to get some players out during this window, but I don't think they did enough. I think the likes of your Ericssons, I think the likes of Casemiro's, players like that, we should have moved them on.
You don't know if the offers are there, do you, for them at the minute? You just don't know, because it's... Yeah, I think if there were offers for them type of players, I think they would have moved them on. But, you know, January is a tricky time to try and rebuild a squad. They have come out and said a lot more done in the summer.
Yeah.
But it's whether you believe it or not.
Exactly, that's the thing.
Whether that's the thing. Yeah, like you say, the signings coming in, the kid from Arsenal looked good against us in pre-season, to be honest with you. He did look good then. And he's a unit. And now you might get more game time with Martinez being out, because he has been brought in. I believe he's been brought in for the left side of defender.
He's been brought in to play first team.
Yeah. So that's what they said. When he's coming in with the first team squad. And the kid from Italy, I thought he looked good. It's a weird one, just playing him. I know we touched on it before, but it's such a strange one to bring him in. We're crying out for a left wing back. I mean, I know Martinez, Mazraoui's had to go over and cover for Martinez. Surely that swap of putting Dalot, not the biggest fan of Dalot, as you probably find out, but surely put him on the right-hand side where he's more comfortable, because he's been struggling out there on that left wing-back position.
Because he always has to cut in. He always did well
against Trent, though, didn't he, at Anfield? So I'll give him that. Fair play. But surely put him there. And whether that's something the boss likes, he likes these inverted wingers. I know he was playing over there for it was Lecce, wasn't it? I know he was playing there as an inside right winger. Whether that's where he's comfortable, he just thought it's your first game, just get used to Old Trafford, etc. I can't see him staying there in the future. Put it this way: if Luke Shaw was fit, would he have played him on the right hand side? I don't see that. I just don't see that how that works. But
I mean,
obviously the boss knows more.
He's watching the same games that we are. So if he's happy with Darrow's contribution on that left hand side, where one of the things that I've noted about Darrow is he's great at getting into those positions and always sneaks in behind, and Martinez can find him, Bruno can find him. But as soon as he gets into that final third, he's got nothing, because he has to cut back in. And that's why he should be out on the right hand side. But maybe it's to do with the communications between the right wing back and the wingers and the right centre back.
It does feel like there's something else there. The reason why I'd like to have a chat with him. Say, why did you make that decision? See what his answer would be, whether it's a simple thing or not. But just touching on Dalot there.
One sec, because I need to answer your query there. They did actually mention it to Amorim after the game, and he just directed people towards a scouting program, which I think anyone can get. It's like an Opta stats
We scout, something like
that's
that.
That's it, And he basically said, go and check that out. He's played most of his games on the right-hand side. And it's like, he knew that question was coming. So he must have known it was a risk to play him at right back rather than at left back. Like, man, we need a left back. Playing on the left.
I'm just trying to. Is that us being naive and not European? I was just trying to think who he was playing against. Actually, who was their winger, fullbacks? Maybe that had something. You don't know with these little decisions, they're tactical or. Just trying to think who it was he was playing against,
But I don't think. But Amorim wouldn't have seen. I know they do their scouting reports and things like that, but I don't think Amorim would have seen enough of Leicester City's wing backs and Patrick Dorgu to be able to go, I think you should switch over. Go to the other side. I get what you're saying, but it would have been a bit weird to go, I'm not sure how you can play against him.
Give us a straight answer, Gaffer. Let us know why you did it. Come on. Exactly. Just touching on Dalot there. Keep I will be a bit not off.
Go for it.
He's
Go for it.
physically, I think he's a specimen. I think Jose loved him, didn't he? Jose absolutely loved him with the Portuguese connection in it, and his efforts there, his physicality's there. I think when we played in the FA Cup against a lower division, I've listened to a podcast and one of the lads said, "You wouldn't believe how powerful and strong he is." I just don't. It feels like his ability's not good enough. And they were waiting for him to kick on and kick on and kick on.
Yeah.
But he's remember when John O'Shea filled holes everywhere?
Yeah.
That seems to be how they're using Dallo, and he does get a lot of stick from himself, and I believe Ahmad's not the biggest fan.
Yeah.
But to be fair to the kid, if you played him right wing back, you said, right, that's your position now. You've got 3 or 4 games. He could probably do a job physically there, and he might make less mistakes at a trajectory. It's the rashness of his game that he's not grown up. He's not progressed in this. He just pushes everything. Stop pushing people.
Yeah.
You make silly fouls. You're getting the other team under pressure or give away a foul, and that's why I'll keep dogging Dallas. Just silly decisions.
Those things are infuriating. It's not just him. I think it spreads through the team, especially when we're under the cosh at Old Trafford. Like they just do these niggly little fouls, and it's like the scripting in FIFA or Pro Evo, which we used to play back in the day. Like you just know that if a free kick is going to be given that close to the box, that something dangerous is going to happen.
Yes, and just so rash with his decisions.
Yeah.
And it's, but I think Luke Shaw was a similar one. That's why Jose never took to Luke Shaw. Just silly decisions, which you wouldn't find Italian defenders doing. They just wouldn't do it. But infuriating.
Let's talk about Luke Shaw and the players that we've got still sort of lingering around in the squad. So we've got Rashford. He's well known, like he wants to leave, he wants to go for a new challenge, whatever it is. I did find it quite funny that it was Milan, no, it's Barcelona, no, it's Birmingham. And still living at home, travelling down the M6 down to training every day and games as well. So he hasn't really got his big move. And then we've got like Sancho, whose obligation to buy 25 million. We've robbed Chelsea, literally robbed them because he's a 6 out of 10 player at best. 6 out of 10.
Robbed us in first place, didn't they?
Exactly. But we're finally getting some revenge on that now. But then you look at players like Casemiro has to go. Just has to. He's not getting ahead of Collier. That says something about your career right now. Eriksen is the same. Still think he needs to go. Players like Luke Shaw, Malacia's already. Yeah, players like Luke Shaw, Malacia, we've got rid of him, injury prone. Had a really bad injury. United. You should read the story about Malacia's recovery.
Yeah, I think it was yourself that told me. Is that one of the reasons why the physios we brought in Arsenal's physio, etc., and things like that? Because it was never actually cleared up what was wrong with Malacia, was it? People were speculating. No. Was it a mental issue? Was it this? But I've heard behind the scenes that no, it was a physio issue.
The one liner, the one summary for that was that Manchester United at the time basically told him or allowed him to do his own rehab, which is just bananas. Just go and do your own rehab. Right. Yeah. Anyway, so Malacia's gone, injury prone. Yep. But now we're stuck with 2 former England internationals with Mount and Shaw. Yeah. I believe, and this might sound harsh, you have to, if you've got any ambitions as a football club, you have to move those players on. And I think Shaw and Mount, Shaw only has to look at the grass and he gets injured. And it's not a nice thing. He's obviously come back from big injuries before.
Yes. Yeah.
But if you've got any aspirations of winning the Premier League, getting into the Champions League, winning silverware every season, you can't have players like that.
No, you can't. You can't have passengers, can you?
No.
There isn't. It's a ruthless game, a ruthless sport.
Yeah.
It's a business at the end of the day. Unlucky because when they're fit, fully fit, and like Luke Shaw when playing for England, and he was that was funny when he went to England and couldn't play for us but went for England. Madness. Fully fit Mount would probably suit one of them 10 positions because he will press, he will work hard, and they are so. Is it an unluckiness? Is it the fact that they can't deal with the physicality of the training? Probably a bit of both, to be fair, and it's probably a bit. And that's where we can't carry passengers. But this is where it's big for the owners to come in because they're obviously on big contracts. who's going to take them? Who's
Yeah.
going to take an injury-prone Luke Shaw or an injury-prone Mason Mount? Someone like just throwing it out there, someone like a West Ham, a Brighton
Yeah.
might look at Mason Mount as we'll have a look at him. They're not going to
Yeah.
pay you 40 million for him and take his full wages. This is what happens with United. We have to cut our losses and then send them out on loan. You're sending assets that are probably worth 20, 30 million, but because they're on such big wages, these clubs are going, no, we'll send him on loan. We'll have a look at him. And then ultimately, they're going to go there on loan and they're going to get injured, which we can all know. It's heartbreaking for them all, similar to the Phil Jones thing. But you get the impression with a few of them that they just don't fancy it.
No, I know.
You get that impression that they're happy playing COD, aren't they, at home?
Well, you get Luke Shaw. Yeah, you get Luke Shaw, making a bigger surprise comeback for the England squad than the Undertaker coming out from his coffin.
With the
the urn came out there, Paul Bearer. You get him coming round. You get Shaw around the England squad, and suddenly he's fit and he's ready. And there was that great clip, wasn't there? I think me and Ahmad spoke about this before. But there was that great clip of good luck England during the Euros, where they were basically saying Jim Ratcliffe was one of the people that they interviewed, and it's like, good luck England, good luck Luke, don't get injured while you're out there. Yeah. And it's like they knew it felt like we was behind the curtain, and he was basically saying, you're our asset. You're a Manchester United asset. You've got yourself ready to go to play for England. Mate, come on, we're paying your salary here. Yeah. And the same thing happened the other day, right? We were linked to a left back, and all of a sudden, he's back again. Paul Bearer's back with his Shaw's back off the table, rising up. And then he gets injured.
The other day that we've paid him it was 52.4 million we paid Luke Shaw for him not to play. That's how much we paid him for him to be injured. And when do you cut your losses at that? When do you say, sorry, mate, it's just not horrific injury though. Let's be fair to him. I mean, we can hammer him all we want. That injury he took was a career ender, wasn't it? And then to deal with Jose when he came back was hard for him. He got through that. He got in the back of another manager. But nobody's going to take him again. Same with the Phil Jones. He could do with going out, play some football, but ultimately he's going to get injured again. So nobody's going to use, with everyone's finances being so tight, that nobody's going to take him on. So we have to try and encourage him. Use him as a backup. Use him in the cup games. Is he happy with that? Hopefully he will be. The Mason Mount one is a weird one because it seems like he picks up mysterious injuries all the time. He was gutted when he come off Mason Mount. He were absolutely gutted.
I'm sure he wants to play. I'm sure he's keen to play all the time. But
did Chelsea know this? Did Chelsea know he was a bit brittle? Or
I think
I don't remember him being like that. I don't remember.
Yeah, that last season that he played in Chelsea, he barely played, and he basically rumour has it again that he down tools on Chelsea because he wanted to move to Man United, and it was. Did he have a year left on his contract? Or was
yes.
8 months or something like that? We could have got him for free, but we went out and spent 40 to 50 million on him. Yeah. Again, just absence of responsibility from the owners. Here you go, here's the money. And Joel Glazer apparently is the one that's been signing off on signings since they took over. So, they made absolutely terrible financial decisions with these players. But just going back to the point in the first place, before you can rebuild, you have to get rid of that. You have to get rid of the debut. You have to get rid of Casemiro. You have to get rid of Eriksen. You have to get rid of Luke Shaw. You have to get rid of Malacia. Mount. You have to get rid of these players. Rashford, Anthony, all these players that are on massive Sancho. All these players that are on massive salaries, you have to get rid of them because if you want to start again, from a Patrick Dorgu's point of view, who's only getting paid 40 grand a week, so they brought the money right down.
Yes, yeah.
When you're looking at players like that, you can't have players sitting on the bench that are getting 200k a week and just moaning in the changing room. So you have to get rid of it. So I think we've covered pretty much everything there, and I don't think there's one key sticking point to how it all went wrong for Manchester United or how we got to this stage. But I think we can both agree that Ineos haven't helped, right?
No, well, they've not helped themselves either, have they? They've not helped
No.
themselves. So it's more outgoings in the summer, please.
Okay, so next up for Manchester United is Tottenham Hotspur at Old Trafford. The big clash. This used to be a top four clash. This is now 13th versus 14th in the league, with Spurs sitting below Manchester United at the moment, which is, I mean, horrendous. But if there's a good time to be playing Spurs, it's probably now. But I still see us potentially struggling with this one. How do you see this one going?
Same. Two poor teams form-wise. I'm just looking at it there. Draw is the best bet, really, isn't it? Would you take a draw? Would you take a point?
No, I want to win.
No? Well,
I want to win.
Yeah.
Every game.
Just two bad teams in bad form, aren't they? It's the thing. Have we turned a bit Spursy? Are United the new Spurs? Is that what we are? Or are they just as bad?
I think they're just as bad. Like we're in terrible form. I think they've got a terrible owner as well. We've got terrible ownership, and I think
say that he gets a lot of stick, Levy, doesn't he? He does get a lot. That club is ran well, and all right, they don't spend the money on the players. They probably can't attract the players, but I think the point was made on with Scholesy going back to that again on his program with Carragher that. They asked the Spurs fan, would he swap owners? And he said no, because he was dogging Levy. And then Carragher said, would you swap owners? He said, no, I wouldn't. So that shows you what other clubs think of our owners as well. So someone who's calling out Levy and then, would you swap? They go, no. It says a lot about Ineos, that more than anything, doesn't it?
I think you're right, and I think I don't think anyone wants to be part in the limelight with a crazy owner. So Levy kind of gets that pass with Spurs fans because he's been there for a long time. And if it was a state like Qatar came in and were like, right, we want to buy the club and we want to take it over, I'm pretty sure those Spurs fans would be like, get out, get Levy out now, get him gone. But those types of ownership, they're not going to exist anymore. Like PSR, FFP, all of these things, the last of those will be like Man City and PSG and Newcastle, sorry. But it'll be interesting to see. I've gone off on a tangent here, but it'll be interesting to see what happens with the 115 charges against City, because if they get off that case, if Abu Dhabi, just down the road from here, as I've discussed with you many a time, if they get away with this and they get a slap on the wrist or whatever it is, and they can carry on continuing as they want to, it's going to open the floodgates. It's going to open the floodgates. The Saudis that own Newcastle will just pump money into it.
Ineos could, is it?
But let's see. Yeah. Let's see.
All signs. Sorry to interrupt you. All signs there point with City getting Haaland his 9-year contract, signing Marmoush probably 18 months a bit too soon.
Yeah.
Spending this 200-300 million they've spent in January. It all points to a transfer ban, doesn't it? It all points to they know what's going to happen. That's what it points.
You see, that's interesting because the other perspective that I have, when I was discussing this with someone else, was that those all point to them getting away with it. They wouldn't be spending so freely if they thought that they were going to be charged for any wrongdoing, because they're allegedly still doing whatever it is that they're accused of. So I don't know. But what I will say is when you just going back to the ownership, Levy, Ratcliffe, all of these people that we've had in charge of clubs, they've done a disservice to the fans in the long run. I'm not saying it's just I'm not saying that Levy's done a bad job just now. I'm saying that over time he's overseen failure. Our football club, and a team should win everything. A new stadium, brilliant. It's got a go-kart track in it, brilliant. We have NFL games there, brilliant. What have you won?
Yeah,
nothing.
And that's what Spurs fans will go out on it. And fair play. Yeah, they're probably right, but you don't see it getting any better for them or for us here, really. But with the game, it could go either way, couldn't it? We could come away with a 1-0 win, a 2-0 win, because we've done the same at Anfield. We've done it again at Arsenal. We're getting results. You can see United going there and getting a result, but you can also see us going there and getting pumped 4-5-0, can't you?
But this is the problem. This is the problem with United playing at Old Trafford at the moment, because I feel like the anxiety is getting to them, which is crazy to say about teams that should be emboldened playing in front of 75,000 fans.
Yeah. You can feel it in the stadium, Nathan. You can feel that anxiety there. It's not nice.
So this is what I was going to ask you about. Can you describe it? Because obviously I've not been to a game for years, but just watching it on TV, you don't get the full experience. But as a match going fan, like what's it like at the moment?
Speaking to someone in a pub, have you ever watched a film, like a horror film, and you're just watching anxiety? That's how it feels.
You're anxious,
and everybody's got the same feeling. And I've got a theory on it. And sorry, Andre, it comes from the keeper. Right. It all comes from the keeper, because we're all terrified of him throwing one in his own net. It's just terrified. You can see it coming, and because everything starts with the keeper, when he gets it at his feet, everybody around you's like, what's he going to do? What's he going to do? And you can't have a keeper like that. You can't build anything on a goalkeeper like that. When Van der Sar had the ball, I mean, De Gea was the same, because I wasn't Dave's biggest fan. When he had the ball at his feet, brilliant goalkeeper, just with his feet wasn't great. I'd take Dave back now in a heartbeat, because Onana comes in and his confidence is shot as well. He's been brought in as a ball-playing goalkeeper. No.
His distribution is really poor.
Well, I don't know if you've noticed it as well, but you can see he's been told to go long now. He's been told, you can see it now, don't go short, mate, because it's not happening. Go long. And I think something like 70 to 80% of his passes now are long balls, which doesn't help him, the fact that the forwards can't hold it up, because he's pumping it to them and it's coming straight back. But that anxiety feeling, it comes from the goalkeeper, in my opinion. It just feels like that's where the basis is. And it spreads like a disease. Because then if he gives the ball to Dalot on his wrong foot, he's anxious. And then he's giving it to Maguire, and Maguire's done all right to form-wise, but he's a nervous ball player. He's nervous. You've got them three in your back 5, 6. That's the anxiety, and that's where it stems from. And you can 100% feel it. You can. It's not a nice feeling. And I think that's why when they go away, they're probably a bit more, right, okay, I can relax a bit more. Maybe they could all do with a sports psychologist or something like that. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I think that would probably help. But you can tell even through the telly, when you're watching it, it just doesn't feel the same anymore. It just feels like there is that pressure, and it is that hearts in mouth moment when when Onana gets the ball. And, what's he going to do? He's just hoofed it out of play, and then a big long throw-in's come in, and he's punched it in his own net. I mean, he hasn't gone that far yet, but
No. Well, he's tried, hasn't he? But he has made a few good saves. But the other thing is that comes from mistakes. If you make mistakes, and if you're an opposing manager, you would say, jump on him. Different corners. Put someone in front of him, because he doesn't know what he's doing. The other thing I was going to say is the away fans as well. They know. They can. If we can feel it, they can feel it, and they're on it. Giving it the old. And if you can't handle that pressure of playing in front of 70, 80,000 a week, this isn't the club for you. This just isn't the club for you. You can't be chucking a ball in your own net. You can't be costing us so many points. You just can't do it. And that's going to be summer. I know we'll talk about the Spurs game. He won't play Bayern there, because Bayern there had a nightmare last time in the club. He's another one who looks shot of confidence. He's played 2 or 3 games. I think he made a good stop in the European game the other night.
He put Arsenal out, didn't he?
Yeah. You have to try and give these players the flowers where you can, but you do struggle. You do stress. And with the goalkeeper, I know he's pulled us out of the mire a few times, which Dave did a lot as well. Call him Dave, Mr. Dave. But with the goalkeeper and with that anxiety, that's my theory anyway. It comes.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That is
back
interesting.
To the Spurs game, he will go with Onana. He will more than likely go with Lenny Yoro. I'm just trying to see who's fit there.
Still yet? Is he still yet to win a Premier League game when he started for Manchester United?
Is that true?
Yeah.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Mm.
I think he'll go with Mazraoui in that. Love Mazraoui, to be fair. He's one of them players where, like just talked about, giving the ball easy.
Yeah.
No matter where you give it him, he's comfortable.
Yeah.
It makes you think, because
We don't have many of those.
No, we don't. They don't often let good players go, do they?
Yeah.
The Germans. They don't often let him go, and you think, well, who've they got there to let him go? Because we could do it. If you had 11 of him, you'd win something, wouldn't you? He's comfortable on the ball. He works hard. As soon as he loses it, he's trying his best to give me ball back.
Yeah.
We've not got enough of them players, have we?
Exactly.
I think hopefully he goes with the new kid left wing back. It'll probably be inverted if you've got anything to go off there. But he seems quite happy to throw him in, doesn't he? Seems quite happy just to say, right, go and get in there. Maybe because we haven't got any other option. And then it's looking like Ugarte. Love Ugarte, another one.
Yeah.
I think he's done. The game at Anfield was a turning point for him. Massive.
Yeah.
Because I think there he showed his level. I'm good enough to play here. And I think he is good enough to play there. He does need someone alongside him. I think he'll go with Bruno there.
Do you know what? It's funny though, because like last summer we was like, maybe we need someone alongside him. Now we've got Ugarte, and now it's like, now we need someone alongside Ugarte.
But when the systems change, Nathan, that's what you have to do. Because the system was when it a 6, 2 8s, and a 9.
Yeah.
But now if you go in 2 6s, 2 10s, and a 9, I'm not convinced, and I don't think the manager is that Cobby's good enough to play in a 6. Not good enough is the wrong word.
He's not physical enough.
Physical enough.
He's better closer to the 18-yard box, like the opponent's 18-yard box, because he can affect the game there with, like, as you say, feints, touches, shots. Like he can change the game when he's a bit further up the pitch, but it's
not as physical, is it? It's not as right. I'm foot forward here. You can kind of. He's very comfy on the ball, isn't he? But you can you can get about him, can't you? Pinch.
But
it's to be a bit.
The problem that he has, the problem that Manu has, is like that's his ideal position, or that's where I would play him anyway, as the 8 or 10.
Yes,
that's his ideal position. But he's got one of Europe's best attacking midfielders ahead of him. Like, and then if you have to bring Bruno back to that quarterback role at the back, you miss something going forward. So it's a difficult one. But I know you was going to finish off your formation here, but I think like Ugarte and Manu will probably start as the midfield.
Do you not think he'll go with Bruno in the 6?
I think he will, but I think it will switch between those two players. I think it'll be Bruno and Manu.
It feels like he's not quite sure the manager. He's not quite convinced there, is he? With some of it. I like Toby Collier as well. Done a great job. A great job. When he's come in, done a good job. Did well at Fulham. Clearance off the line, but does make you think, doesn't it, what McTominay do in this team? I think he'd start McTominay if he was still here.
But we needed that money to get all the transfers over the line. We needed to clear the PSR so that we could. So Ahmad on the right, Garnacho, I think has played himself into that.
Right at the 10. Garnacho, yeah. It was such a weird one, wasn't it, about selling Garnacho? It was such a weird one because he does look like he can affect games, but you would also, if someone offers 50, 60 million, I think you would sell.
I don't know. I think that changes what I know Manchester United as. I think that changes it. You always get like a few players that you look back on and you go, oh, we shouldn't have sold that player. Like most of them don't make a career out of it or a big career out of leaving Manchester United. But you get every now and again you get a Gerard Piqué. Every now and again you get like a Ronaldo where he wasn't a youth team product for us, but he was a young player that we brought through, we nurtured, we gave him a platform to excel. And I kind of have that little feeling with Garnacho that right now he's on the fence. He's either falling off and he's hitting Ronaldo standards as a superstar, or he's on the fence and he's hitting Ahmad Januzaj levels and he's playing at Real Sociedad for the rest of his career.
Federico Maqueda. I just don't see this is obviously everyone's going to have different opinions. I can't see his ceiling being that high, Garnacho. I think you might have
I
found.
don't know.
I think you might have found this system doesn't suit him either, does it? Because he's playing in a 10, but he's going out wide, and it's not leaving the gap for the fullback to. He is trying to play. He affects the game, and he does things when he comes on, and he works hard. So maybe I'm just being a bit harsh on the kid.
I think one of the other things as well, and I know we're supposed to be talking about Spurs, so let's get the result out of the way. I'm going to say that it'll be a draw. I'm going to say it's going to be 1-0, and that's hoping that it'll be a draw. At the very worst, it will be 1-0, but we're probably more likely to lose that game. But when what are you saying for the score? Because I just want to go back to the Garnacho thing again.
0-0 all over it. That's what I think.
God. Wow.
Yeah.
The double bagel. Right. So just going back to the Garnacho thing, if he was in a good team, say he was playing at Real Madrid now, he'd have no pressure to do anything other than play his game. Right now, as you just said before, the atmosphere at Old Trafford from the back is atrocious. It's panic. We're worried, what's going to happen. He gets people out of their seats. Him and Ahmad, they get people out of their seats at Old Trafford. But there's so much expectation on him right now that we're looking for another superstar. We want him to fulfill this prophecy. He could have a really good career and not be a superstar. He could have a really good career at United. But right now, we're looking for someone that's like a hero. Like Ahmad has had to do it for most of the season. Is he like a world beater? I don't think he is. I think he's a very good player. I don't think he's a world beater. And we're probably going to have to get reinforcements that maybe go ahead of Ahmad in the summer.
And Garnacho. Yeah.
And Garnacho, yeah.
But this was my point where does he get in Brighton's team above Mitoma? Does he get
Garnacho?
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Does he get in Spurs' team
That's
above
a good one.
Son? You'd swap Garnacho for Son in a heartbeat, wouldn't you? Does he get in West Ham's team above a Paqueta?
Is he a left winger, Paqueta? I thought he was centre.
He can play in that 10, can't he, Paqueta?
Okay.
Would he get in Wolves' team above Acuna?
Well, no. I think he'll be on Trafford next season.
Acuna, yeah, I agree with that. But if we get Champions League football. But that's my point is with the Garnacho. If someone offers you 60 million, you can go and replace him with a Mitoma, a Paqueta, with a Cunha. I would do. Unfortunately. All right, we want the kid to do well. We want him to do that. I just don't. I can't see him. Maybe it's the atmosphere. Maybe it's the team. Maybe it's the formation. I don't see where Garnacho. And that's why I think ultimately the club we're looking at, if we can, we might look at moving him on. That was one of my notes I've got here about selling youth products.
Yeah.
Another thing you picked up on then is not the United that you know when you love. I think the days are gone with that, mate. I think the reason why we've got all these kids in now, the reason why we're signing these youth products, and our youth team, I'm just looking at it then, there's some great prospects in there. I don't think they've been brought into for the first team. They've been brought in to make profit. They've been brought in free transfers, £1 million here to be sold for 15, 20 million. I think the days are long gone now of the class of 92, etc.
Well, not even that, mate. Not even that. There's also the prospect of losing that record that we've had for, I think it's 70 years of an academy product being in the first team squad every match day. And if you sell Garnacho, then you've only got Kobe. You've only got Kobe.
Yeah, which I think he's good enough to play for us for 10 years. Kobe, I think he's the best thing coming through that youth team for a long time. I think the manager will find a place for him. But yeah, those days are long gone. I think you have to move with the times as well now. You have to accept that that's where the business model is now. And that's where it's been. City have been doing it for years. They've made a few errors, haven't they?
Yeah.
So they cut Cole Palmer on and
Morgan Rogers.
Yes, who looks a player, doesn't he, Morgan? Yeah. What a player that kid is.
And
Steven Gerrard.
Brian Diaz. came back and
scored
won it
last
last
night.
night.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. Saw him with
Yeah.
a non-celebration. I'm not a fan of that now. I'd celebrate all day.
Get celebrating.
Oh,
I had this
you can't
conversation with
celebrate.
someone.
Yeah.
I had this conversation. If you've been sold by a team, it means they don't want you anymore.
All
Like
day.
I can imagine like
Your shirt off like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get it right into the dugout as well, mate. That's what I'd be doing. Straight away, beating my chest. Come on.
Yeah. But I mean, City put that plan in place. What, 5-6 years ago? They started doing that, didn't they? And
It's a while ago,
I think I do think that's what Wilcox and Barada. That's the reason why they're doing what they're doing. Some belting players in that U team, by the way, which I think we'll come to in a bit. Look, Spurs 0-0.
There we go then. The end of another episode of Fergie's Gone. Thanks again to Mr. PC, Paul Cropper,
No problem.
for coming onto the podcast. We need to have you on more, mate. We need to have you on more.
We see how this goes. See how your listeners like it. But
I'm sure.
Excuse the northern accent.
No, well, I mean, I've managed to
as well.
I've managed to knock mine down with my when I'm on the podcast. Got my radio voice, but you bring it out a bit when we're on here, so that's always a nice thing. But yeah, we'll definitely have you on again soon, and we'll get you on with when Ahmad's around as well, because it's good to have.
We can discuss our love for Diego Dallo. That's what we can do, can't we?
Yeah, I mean, that's a podcast on its own anyway. All right then, so thanks very much, and thanks for listening, and we will speak to you again next week.